I finally came up with the right question yesterday. This is a question I've been asking, but I haven't really known how to phrase it, how to put it. And the question is God a quid pro quo God? If you don't know what quid pro quo means, it means, well, you do this and I'll give you that. And every religion out there teaches that that's who he is. He requires this of you so that he can give you that. If you don't do that, then he can't give you the other thing. The reason this has been on my mind so much is because there's a lot of voices out there. A lot of you are following different people on YouTube, and a lot of the people that I follow, who I really, really love, are teaching that you need to give up all sin. You need to live your life to the absolute 100% best of your ability, and you need to stop being lazy. You need to stop with all the flesh stuff. And then I have certain people that I am following that have been preaching almost the opposite. And the opposite being that, and this is once you have, basically once you've been born again, or once you have resolved to give yourself over to God and just want to do his will, that you need to step back and bask in his love and stop with the incessant, what do I need to do next? What do I need to do next? What are God's commandments to me right now? Stop with that and allow yourself to be loved by him, and that he just wants to love you, and that he wants his grace to cover you fully, and that you need to stop with all of the works. So I go back and forth between those two. By the way, the more recent bask in his love doctrine for me has been amazing, and it's brought a lot of peace to me, and it's been very different from anything that I have ever been taught in my life. You have the meditation gurus who are all about sitting and being at peace with God and the universe and nature, and putting aside your natural man. They're a lot like this second way of being. Well, but aren't we supposed to follow Christ? Aren't we supposed to keep his commandments? Aren't there rules that we're supposed to follow? So you've got these two very different ways of thinking of things. And aren't you in danger of having your eternal salvation ripped away from you if you choose the wrong way? Well, it's a good question, and that's how I've come to formulate this question: is God a quid pro quo God? And the answer to that is complex, but it's simple, actually. So in Doctrine and Covenants, section 42, verse 14, cool verse, it says, "If ye receive not the Spirit, ye shall not teach." What does that mean? Well, it means that when you move forward in anything with God, really, that the qualifier for doing anything is the Spirit. The qualifier is that connection to God. And if the connection to God goes away, then you're actually not doing God's will. And so at that point, you need to stop. If you apply that not only to teaching, but to life itself and to keeping the commandments and doing things, really the primary qualifier for anything that you do has to be the Spirit. The Spirit has to come first. Because if works come first, if doing your very, very best comes first, then you've left God out of the equation. And so God has to be the first part of the equation. And you'll find out as you get closer and closer to God that he just wants to love on you. And he wants to give you peace. And he wants to give you his spirit. And he actually wants to give you energy. He wants to give you energy to do his works. And he will if you come to him. The problem is, we've been taught that it is the opposite. Do works, and then God will show up with his spirit. That is backwards. And while we're doing those works, trying to get the spirit back, we have spent that whole time doing works, without having his spirit at all. God is anxious to love on us, to give us his spirit, to talk to us, to commune with us. He's anxious to teach us. He's really our biggest fan. He is a much more loving and kind God. He's much more full of grace and mercy and patience than we give him credit for. When we approach him from a works standpoint, and again, works are necessary, but they're necessary doing it in his spirit. And when you do works in his spirit, it really changes from being a hard and fearful thing to being something that you now have energy for and you want to do, and you're inspired to do, and you can do full of love for yourself and for other people, and continue with an open heart. I've noticed as I've followed other people who preach a lot of works, and again, these are really good people, and I actually like listening to their stuff and taking in their things, but I got to listen to that by the Spirit, so that the Spirit can teach me what portions of that I am lacking. But I do notice that a lot of times I listen to them, and their preaching, the things that they teach, fill me with a sense, with fear and anxiety, and they cause me to think, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. I'm off the path. I'm bad. I can't do this. I'm inadequate. And so as I come into that, what that causes is for my heart to close. It causes me to shrink and have less energy and less ability to do God's work. So there is a book that I would highly recommend to anybody out there, and just go get it on Audible. It's called Real Love by Greg Baer, B-A-E-R. And this is one of those few books out there that has changed my life and changed my perspective and the way that I look at things. And it's about relationships, and it's about love. And in the world, in dating, in marriage, you start off, this quid pro quo deal is kind of how we do love. It's like, oh my gosh, I love this girl. Every time I see her, I just get filled with the most amazing emotions and feelings. And then, gosh, when she touches me, or when she talks to me, or when she looks in my eyes, I just feel so good. And then, my goodness, she's an amazing cook, and she's just taking care of me all the time, and I am in love. I am in love. And the problem is, you get further into that relationship, and maybe she stops doing so much for you, or maybe she points out that you're not even doing anything for her. And why aren't you doing things? And so the love that you felt for each other was really a quid pro quo type of a deal, where, yeah, you need to be bringing stuff to the table, And you need to be bringing enough to the table where I still feel loved. And so this is what the book calls imitation love. And imitation love is rife in our society, and love as we describe it really is this quid pro quo imitation love. So one of the points of the book is that in order to be able to give love, you first need to get full of unconditional love. And you need to get unconditional love from somewhere. And you cannot require that out of your family, your spouse, your partner, whoever. You cannot require unconditional love from them. So you need to go somewhere and get unconditional love. And once you have that unconditional love, then you can give unconditional love. But when you're feeling inadequate and fearful and closed off and needy and any of these other emotions, unloved, you need to find somebody or somewhere that you can go to get full of that love and refill. So the scriptures talk about Jesus, that we love him because he first loved us. And he continually loves us first. He continually gives us this unconditional love. He continually will fill us as we bring our hearts to him. This is not quid pro quo. God does not require you to be full of works and full of goodness before he will fill you with his unconditional love. As I've talked about in other videos, God's heart is always open 100% toward us. It is never closed off toward us, and it is we who are closed off to him. So as we turn our face to him, as we turn our eyes, the windows of the soul, to him, he will fill us full of light and with love, and he'll fill us full of energy, and he'll fill us full of purpose, and he will help us overcome the fear that we have. A huge, massive part of the stumbling block that we have inherited from religion is living a religion in duty and fear. Do not do things out of duty and fear, other than the first two great commandments, loving the Lord your God, which means turning to him and taking in his love and being full of his unconditional love, and then loving your neighbor as yourself, which means once you're full of that, once you've turned your face toward him, then he will help you to love your neighbor as yourself. And it just changes everything. But it's getting love and purpose from God first, and putting aside all of those works and duties and things that fill us full of fear and anxiety, and that actually are counterproductive to us coming to him.